thinking atheist. It's been the subject of a lot of interesting videos recently. So I started thinking about what it means to think atheist and how many different ways people actually do that. I've included 4 prominent thinkers who are engaged in thinking atheist, and I'm doing it to sort of show how many complex and creative ways there can be to think atheist. It's not just one mindset, it's a lot of different kinds and ways of thinking.
Being an atheist is not new. It has a very long history. For example, in 1895, in his book called The Garden of Epicurus, Anatole France wrote these lines: "Those who have rejected the dogma of theological morality, as almost all of us have done in this age of science and intellectual freedom, have no means left of knowing why they are in the world and what they are here to do. Fate envelops us entirely in the mysterious process, and really our one and only resource is to give up thinking altogether, if we are not to feel too cruelly the tragic absurdity of living." If a man is offered a fact which goes against his instinct, he will scrutinize it closely, and unless the evidence is overwhelming, he will refuse to believe it. If, on the other hand, he is offered something which affords a reason for acting in accordance with his instincts, he will accept it even on the slightest evidence. The origin of myth is explained this way. In the sidebar, you'll find a link to an editorial written by Tim Madigan, who is an editor for Philosophy Now magazine. It's called "Meet the New Atheists, Same as the Old Atheists?" And I'm going to read just a couple of short excerpts from this. First, he talks about the debate that followed the Second World War, which was the Death of God movement. And in 1966, April the 8th, he cites Time magazine, which published an article called "Is God Dead?" And the cover of the magazine was in bold red letters on a stark background. Madigan says, "Certainly for many, if not most philosophers in 1966, the answer would have likely been in the affirmative. The celebrated Encyclopedia of Philosophy, edited by Paul Edwards, came out right around then, and while it has many entries dealing with the philosophy of religion, the general tone exemplified by Edwards' own long contribution on atheism was in line with the prevailing analytic tradition that talk of God was at best unrewarding and at worst literally meaningless." In Michael Shermer's essay, "Why I Am an Atheist," he says this: "Spirituality is a way of being in the world, a sense of one's place in the cosmos, a relationship to that which extends beyond ourselves. There are many sources of spirituality. Religion may be the most common, but it is by no means the only. Anything that generates a sense of awe may be a source of spirituality. Art, for example. Consider the 1889 Impressionist painting, The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh. It is a magnificent swirl of dark and light, punctuated by stars, with the sky and land delineated by horizon and the infinite vastness of space hovering over humanity's tiny abode. The Starry Night is awe-inspiring art, but it is the product of centuries of scientific discovery. Coming after Nicholas Copernicus displaced us from the center of the cosmos, after Johann Kepler discovered the laws of planetary motion, after Galileo Galilei discovered the moons of Jupiter, mountains on the moon, and sunspots, after Isaac Newton united celestial and terrestrial physics, and after Charles Darwin put us in our proper place in nature's ancestry. No one, especially an emotionally volatile impressionist painter like Van Gogh, could look up at the night sky and not be daunted by the vastness of the minuscule portion of the galaxy we can observe from Earth. Van Gogh painted the conflict between body and soul, between objective and subjective, and between outer and inner. As he told his brother Theo, I retain from nature a certain sequence and a certain correctness in placing my tones. I study nature so as not to do foolish things. However, I don't mind so much whether my colors correspond exactly, as long as it looks beautiful on the canvas. In fact, Van Gogh described the Starry Night to his brother as an attempt to reach a religious viewpoint without God. And later in the essay, Michael Shermer says, I arranged for a visit to the observatory for the British evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins, the other great bard of life's history, meaning besides Darwin. It was during his trip to Los Angeles on a book tour for his then just published opus, The Ancestor's Tale, itself a source of scientific spirituality, in its 3 billion year pilgrimage to the dawn of evolution. As we were standing beneath the magnificent dome housing the 100-inch telescope, he said, all of this makes me proud of our species.